Hello everybody, всем привет. Today we're going to work on spell enchantments. So I'm going to build a mage guild, buy a spell book, learn a couple of enchantments, take some extra dragons, and let's go start a battle. And currently when we try and cast an enchantment, it just brings up this. We can do the right mouse button click for the tooltip, and left mouse button just brings up the same. It's basically the same as what you would see here in our adventure spells, or if you go into the hero screen and you view. That's basically all that's been implemented for the spell book. So first, I have to break down kind of what the different spells are. So I have a spell index for the 29 spells. There's 0 through 28. I have the spell level. I have the spell name, the spell ICN image index. I have a description here, which I probably need to update some of these. I took this off of a website or the documentation, and the actual game text is a little bit different, so I will have to fix this at some point. This is whether it's a combat or adventure spell. And then when you cast an actual spell, if it's like a protective spell, it's or like a beneficial spell, it cycles blue. So there's a small blue outline that appears around your, I guess, the creature that you enchant. And if it's a negative spell like curse, it cycles red. And when it's your creature's turn, it cycles yellow. So I basically just highlighted the number of spells that we're dealing with here, whether they're blue or red. So there's 4 positive spells, and then there's Paralyzed, Berserker are the higher level negative spells, Blind, Slow, and Curse are the lower level negative spells. And then there's also Dispel Magic, Anti-Magic. Actually, Anti-Magic was positive. There's Dispel Magic and Cure, which are the they remove spell effects. They don't really have an animation per se, but they affect these by basically removing. Like Cure removes negative effects, so it'll remove any red cycling spells. Dispel Magic removes all spells, whether it's blue or red. So this is a document that I created to input to my prompt here. And I start out, I send it, here's an example of like a blue cycling highlight on a cavalry. And we have protection. It also shows the icon of the spell behind the creature stack number. Here, this poor centaur has been cursed, or actually no, he's been slowed, and this is the slow icon, and you can see he's glowing red. So those are some examples. I dump in a lot of the code, and I give it a version of the list that I just showed you, trimmed down to just the spells that we're dealing with. So in my prompt, I basically express that we're going to be opening this book from the generals menu. We're going to click on that spell, and then we can target any creature in the field. And when we click on that creature, there's a spell animation that plays. Let me pull up those spell animations because they're kind of cool, actually. Hold on. Spell animations. Here we go. View. are. So it's magic is the prefix, I believe. So we're looking at stuff like this. So these animations basically cover the creature. Like this one is, I think, for slow. This is actually, I think, for resurrect. This is for turn undead. This is bless. And I think maybe there's some other ones. This is definitely curse. But anyway, I also highlight that animation effect here in this document. So if I go back to my CSVs here and open what I had, is it this? I might have edited this as an Excel file. Maybe this is better. Yeah. So this is actually a better document to look at. Got the spell number, description, type, the color of the cycling spell effect, the animation frames associated with it, also the sound effect. And then this is like my logic description. So this was actually my more updated version of that previous file where I trimmed it down. I went through the spell sound effects, figured out which ones associated with which spells. There is no animation frame for Dispel Magic or Cure, and there's also no color spell effect. But everything else is there's a sound for every spell, and then there's animation for each one. And I think blind and slow actually have the same animation, which was kind of interesting, as well as Berserker and protection, I think, have the same animation. So there's a little bit of overlap or reuse there. That's kind of interesting. And it looks also, yeah, so it was blind and slow, and then Berserker and protection that had the same. It's possible I made a mistake on some of these, but I think I double checked it. But if you notice something, please let me know, of course, too. Don't save. So anyway, we submitted that specification. That's probably the most important piece here, this spell status list CSV. And then I note that Dispel Magic moves status of spells from all creatures, both positive and negative, and Cure removes only negative from all creatures controlled by the hero, and adds up to 5 times the hero's spell power and hit points to heal any creatures in the stack. Then we have the attached image for what these creature stacks look like when they're enchanted, and the spell icon is placed just behind the stack counter. That's for positive spell. Negative spells have a red pulsing edge around the enchanted creature. When the creature is selectable for their turn, the edge effect turns yellow again, and after it stops being that creature's turn, it reverts to red or blue as appropriate. The creature can only have one status at a time, so if a creature has an existing status and another spell is cast upon them, it replaces the old effect. So like slow would both cancel out bless and replace it with the slow effect, which lowers the speed to slow the creature. There's this animation that includes 10 frames of animation, and I just guess 250 milliseconds between frames. If the creature selected, the animation plays. The creature gets tagged with the spell icon behind their stack counter, and the red or blue status cycling effect is added to the creature. These animation frames are in Magic 01 to Magic 08, and we're going to load that in battle resource.cpp. The battle sound effects are spell 01 to spell 18 and should be loaded into battle resources and should play at the same time. Hero can only cast one spell per turn. If all 5 hero creatures have moved or attacked or were skipped, then that is a turn. We may need a turn counter or a tracker or something to track if that creature stacks have moved or attacked or were skipped. And then when a hero casts a spell, the number of spells available drops by 1. The number drops to 0. It disappears from the spellbook. Take a moment to draft an understanding and a spec restating my proposed changes, and then we'll review it. And if it looks good, we will implement it. So it sums up what I'm trying to do here. We've got a spell casting flow to the battle screen, so the hero can cast status effect spells from the spellbook, targeting creatures on the battlefield. Covers the cursor, feedback, cast animation, sound, persistent visual effects status on units, and turn spell count bookkeeping. So it summarizes my table here, like its effects in just very terse terms. It's nice to see. And then the area of effect spells with no animation, no highlight. That's Dispel Magic and Cure. Spell status is it's creating a structure for the statuses that a creature can have, and that will also get cleared, like it will switch to none if it's Cure or Dispel Magic that takes the status away. Status is blue, so this is basically highlighting if it's a negative spell effect or positive spell effect. I think for Cure to be able to remove selectively what spell effects Cure would fix, like slow and blind and paralyzed and stuff like that. The spellcast state is basically tracking, we click on the spell in the spell book, and then we're in the targeting mode. So then we have the targeting option to target a creature. Once we click on that creature, and then we're in an animation mode where we're animating the spell, and then after that happens, there is like a tracker update that tracks, did we cast a spell this turn or not? And I guess this is tracking per unit. We're tracking, did this unit act per turn? And when that cycles over, then we can cast another spell again. So then it loads the assets. So it loads the animations for the magic spells. It loads the spell effects. And we're loading it on channel 3, which is where we have battle. So battle sound effects happen on channel 2. I think the tavern music plays on channel 3 in the castle screen. So we're not using that in the battle screen. So I think I chose that channel, channel 3 for playing the spell sound effects in battle. Because it's definitely not used. Like there's no scenario when we would be playing the tavern music in the battle screen. So the spell flow, as we open the spell book, we select a spell. It's in targeting mode. Dispel Magic and Cure don't target. They skip this entirely. We select the target. We highlight the creature. We show the spell cursor. Anti-magic is only targetable on friendly units. I don't know if this is actually true. I think this might be something I correct in a minute, because I think you can actually target other creatures if you want. And then the visual effects, we have this pulsing glow outline. We have I guess, sets the various, these are the colors, but pulsing for blue and red. And let's see, spell icon badge behind the stat counter. So this selects the spell icon. This makes it a small size, which I don't actually think is what I wanted, but maybe I correct that later. And then it highlights the when you have the spell effects, the spell effects actually have an effect on the creature. So you need to look like slow and haste affect movement range, protection, curse, and bless affect damage. Protection is defense, so it actually, when another creature attacks a creature that has protection, it affects the damage computation there. Blind and paralyzed affect the next turn. and Berserker sort of does. Like the spell will wear off once it's attacked, once it takes damage. And then the turn bookkeeping, and then which files are going to be modified. So I drop in some of my documentation that I think is going to be useful, and I make some corrections. Hero cast this turn is already true. Show a message in the text bar. That's actually not needed. So it was like if you try and click on the spell book again another turn, like when you cast a spell already this turn, you try and click again, it just gives you a little notification, and it doesn't do anything. And that's actually not the correct behavior of the game. The correct behavior is that the general menu spell button here is supposed to be disabled. So no text is shown in the title bar or in the text bar, and the button to open the spellbook is just disabled until the turn cycles. So you can't even open the spellbook. And that's what the game actually does. I think that's correct, and I just think that's superior logic. And then, yeah, I corrected here where this is not actually true. Cure and Dispel don't target any creature. Cure is the only spell that only affects heroes' friendly units exclusively. Otherwise, things can be, correct behavior is that spells can target any creature. I think I tested this in the game. I want to double check this because I did this a few days ago, May 20th. I'm recording on the 24th here. And then I added in some MD files for context. So it makes a few corrections, and I say, let's go for it. And I prefer making the changes in the full files as opposed to generating patch files. So it goes through, makes some changes to battle resources where it loads in the sound and sprites, makes some changes to battle screen where it processes a lot of this, a lot. New implementations of start spell targeting, cancel spell targeting, apply like area of battlefield target, apply spell to target, draw spells, draw status glow, draw spell status badge. So all of that was added. And let's actually see if we can pull up the first build. So call this one Buggy Enchantments. So let's have a quick look at what this looks like. Okay, we got Dispel Slow and Dispel Magic. And let's run up here and have a battle quick and see what happens. Okay, so the animation happened up here. The red glow is happening and the sprite is too small. So like I called out earlier, that 16 by 16 was too small. And then the animation happened somewhere else. So that was not ideal. And the creatures also, this also is causing a bug here where this guy skipped his turn because he was negatively affected. So let's curse this guy. The animation happens here, so the animation is offset incorrectly. It's not loaded over the creature. So we've got a couple of bugs there. And actually, I think that might have been after the first fix here, because this here I'm saying that the dialog box was bringing up what the spell does rather than casting it. So cursor does not change the spell. The creatures, when you try and target it, shows the question mark. So we're still having some issues targeting. I guess I went through this a few times. Eventually we figured out what's going on with the mouse click event detection. Still not working. After opening the spellbook, I click on the spellbook disappears, the cursor reverts to the regular battle screen and the selected. Yeah, that just wasn't working for a while. Still not working. Eventually it does start to work. Okay, here we are. So this was the situation we got to. So I did have to coax the AI to get it working a little bit, and it did eventually fix it. And then what we just saw was the version I showed. So we have some minor corrections. The actual size of the spell.icn is best because the little spell tag for the enchanted status of the creature was too small. It was like a quarter of the size that it's supposed to be. When I cast a negative spell on the right-sided creatures, it stops their attack cycling. They stop getting turns. That should be corrected. Any creature that is blinded or paralyzed should be skipped until they are attacked. Any creature that is slowed should move as a slow creature. This should not affect their turns. The animation for a targeted creature should be located over the targeted creature. It seems to be randomly located on the screen. Let's see if we can get the creature's coordinates on battle screen and do the animation over the creature. And then there's some special cases to add for certain creatures. Cyclops have a 20% chance of casting Paralyze on creatures they attack. Unicorns have a 20% chance of casting Blind on the creatures they attack. Dragons cannot be enchanted or targeted at all. They're immune to magic. Is dragon could be a function or a creature type magic check or something like that. Dwarves have a 25% chance of resisting magic, so 25% chance the spell targeting them fails, including the Cyclops Paralyze and Unicorn Blind. Technically, the resistances vary, but for now, let's just make it 25% overall to make it simple. Blind, 0%. Fireball, Meteor Shower, Storm, Armageddon, 25%. Lightning, Slow, so that's Lightning Bolt, Slow, Curse, Berserk, Paralyzed, 20% chance of resisting. And there's a 25% chance of resisting Unicorn's Blind and 20% of Cyclops Paralyze should those abilities activate. So I believe that these values came from, I think there was a Russian group or a Russian guy that had decoded these, probably by decompiling the executable. So I think that's where these values came from. I don't remember the website I found that on. It might have been the Acid Cave website. It might have been somewhere else when I was Googling for it. Regardless, I put this in not, like basically telling the AI, it's nice if you can do this, otherwise let's just make it 25%. And let's see if we can fix these bugs and add in the magic resistance and attack spell casting of the Cyclops and Unicorn. So it finds the cannot act problem. It's based on like the way that it's processing turns and the ticks that it fires. Goes through, adds the Cyclops Paralyze and Unicorn Blind processes to the resolve attack hit. Spell animation is positioned over the creature. The spell status badge is the natural ICN spell image size. Dragons are now immune to magic. Dwarf magic spell resistance. And the Cyclops Paralyzed Unicorn Blind. So I got a compile error there. Made some differences. Another compile error where it just made a mistake doing, because when the AI does your coding for you and like is editing your files, it's using probably like the Unix command sed, which basically replaces one line of text with another. And sometimes that gets a little corrupted or broken, or the AI makes a mistake, and that's basically just what happened here. So let's have a look and see what the next build was here. This one's saved as less buggy enchantments. So Crag Hack, we're buying him a spell book. We only got slow there. Let's just buy another level of the Mage Guild, see if we get like blind or something. Okay, we got haste. That's cool. So let's go up here and have have a little meeting with some goblins. How about we haste our own goblins? So the animation's a little slow, and this sprite is back. So the sprite is kind of slightly misallocated from what I would like. And these guys still aren't moving, so something funny is going on there. But let's take advantage of this and let's cast some spells. Okay, so this is actually correct. This is what I wanted to see, but I maybe would want this closer to the creature stack counter box. And let's skip some turns here. And I think we can probably cast... Oh, no. Oh, he didn't learn Haste. I built it, but he wasn't there to... okay, well... Oh, actually, no, I did already cast Haste, so I actually cast all the spells I could cast. So... Anyway, that was what we were able to see. So we did improve the size of the sprite that tags the creature with their spell status. But I want to move the icon to be to the right of the creature stack box for right-facing creatures, and to the left of the creature stack box for the left-facing creatures. And I want it to be located right next to the creature stack box. The negative spells can be cast on enemies, can make them skip turns. This like slow blind just causes that creature to not move at all. Positive spells on hero creatures makes no difference. Can you take another look as to why that would be? So again, like casting that negative spell on those goblins just like stopped them from taking any turns. Like no goblins took any turns. And then I forgot to specify something kind of important, the number of rounds that an effect spell has. So we need to track that and decrement it each turn. When a hero casts a spell, whether it's positive or negative, the spell lasts the number of rounds that is equal to the hero's spell power. And when a unicorn casts blind, it's 3 rounds. A cyclops casting paralyzed lasts 3 rounds. Any casting of subsequent spells overwrites the status of a spell. Negative resets the spell round counter, whether it's negative or positive. Dispel Magic removes all spell statuses and resets counters. Spells should not affect a creature's placement in the orders unless they are affected by slower haste. That would change the creature attack lineup ordering. Paralyze and blind will cause a creature to be skipped, but also a turn of the spell's duration will be decremented. So it runs through, does some logic. It says it fixed the turn skipping bug. We'll see. Spell round tracking. That's cool. Haste and slow affect turn order. And the spell status icon positioning. So let's have a look at the next build and see if this works. Okay, we got Curse. That's not great, but let's have a look. Okay, well, we got Cure as well, so we can maybe test that. Let's go say hi to the goblins. And we'll curse this guy. And the animation looks a little slow there, too. So we'll skip our fast and medium creatures. The goblins still are not taking their turns, so that's... and I noticed that I click on this. This should actually be grayed out or marked as depressed, but it's correctly disabling the spellbook because it's still 1 cast per turn. So Cure heals all friendly creatures for 5 hit points. And yeah, so the creatures are still not attacking, the neutral creatures. That somehow that logic got broken because they were attacking before. Did you change their movement logic? So it's starting to look at what changed. Goes through a whole bunch of analysis. There it is. When the wrap happens, ++ turn index fires. And if valid and can act, breaks. Oh, that's actually correct. This happens all the time. The AI's like, I see it. And then, well, wait, no, actually it's fine. So keeps going, goes on and on and on. Speed is correct. Here's the logic wrap. Thinks it finally found it. Oh, nope, that's correct. But previously, the old code broke out of the loop when wrapping to a new round, setting turn indexes to 0. So continues. All right, this is a very, very long this used up a lot of tokens. And I actually ended up just stopping it because it didn't get anywhere. And then I said, maybe the new effective speed that is modified by spell effects is not initialized correctly. So when computing the movement possibilities for the right side creatures or the turn queue ranking is being corrupted, check that. So as a look, so I think this was the passive creatures. Is that, yeah. So the one we just saw was actually that those creatures would attack if another creature got close to them. So somehow they were passive and they wouldn't approach. And the badges for the spells were still on the wrong side. So I think we needed to invert that. Was that the case? Let's just boot it up and have another look again and see if we can demonstrate what we were talking about here. So I'm not going to attack them, but I'm just going to move closer, and let's cast protection on a... Okay, this is still on the wrong side of the box, I think. So yeah, so they will attack, they just won't approach. So that was the problem we were running into. And again, this icon is still on the wrong side. Let's see here. If I skip. And maybe I can curse one of these guys and see which side the icon appears. Yeah, this is also on the wrong side. So we just need to invert that. And so previously, when no adjacent hex to the target was within movement range, it would just do nothing. So if the creature couldn't reach, the neutral creatures couldn't walk or attack an adjacent creature, they wouldn't do anything. Corrected the badge sides, and we sped up the spell animation frame from 250 milliseconds between frames to 150 milliseconds between frames. And then I asked it to update the documentation because I was pretty satisfied with it at this point. Let's just have a look at what fixed battle enchantments, what this build is. Let's see. So we got Bless and Slow, and let's just see if we can get another spell like Blind. Okay, we did get Blind, cool. So let's go say hi to the goblins. And I'm gonna blind these guys. That's good, that's on the right side. So the goblins are starting to move towards us. And yes, I know the animation's a little wonky there, but we'll fix that soon. We're gonna bless our Phoenix. That's also displaying on the correct side. I like to see that. we're still waiting on the dwarves here, and now it's our turn again to cast a spell. And let's cast slow here on this guy. So yeah, that's where this build is ending up. And yeah, there's still some bugs in my battlefield of where creatures can move and how they move. But we made a note of how we updated the battle sprites. The battlefield rendering did some slight changes with the spellbook state, and we basically rewrote the spellbook, how targeting works and things like that. But this was the adding in the enchantment spells, and next we're going to work on the damage spells, things like lightning bolt, meteor shower, Armageddon, and storm. That's what's coming next.